My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
That's light activity as soon as I start recording.
What's that?
And it is currently 7:52 a.m. This is a demon. You can see the fake sun. This is light activity as he walks in it. And this is after they were ineffective in waking me up by harassment, by molestation with the people of the state engaging in psychopathic pacing. So then the demons themselves, who are stalking by helicopter, the gang members targeting with the same serial stalkers, walking in injury alert, monitoring together, engaging what is criminal summoning. This is P.O.C.
Man, what's your first name?
This is engineer light underneath the vehicle. Listen to his audible activity. He's being diagnosed. That's impulsible light under the car. Light activity under the car.
Hey,
under the fake sun.
Someone called me, okay?
Who called you? Mr. Excuse me, M. Vallejo? 20847.
Yeah.
Who called you? Somebody called you, you said?
Someone called saying that you're sleeping in front of the business at 531 North Euclid, okay?
It's 537 North Euclid.
537? They gave me 531 North Euclid.
531 is over there.
Yeah. Unsure if they got a mix-up, okay?
They being the ones who are in the specific environment, gang stalking is who he's referring to.
Just don't sleep in front of a business, okay? It's a private property. Makes sense?
Is that it, Vallejo? Is that what you got?
That's all I have.
Okay, so you guys wanted to come and engage in what is harassing me? While this is a molestation. He's a sex offender. They're engaging in driving through the engineer light. They're engaging in driving in the engineer light. I'm going to break down what he's doing, what Craig Hazelwood is doing at night in engineer light with a flashlight, a spotlight on the vehicle. He's doing under the spotlight, which is the fake sun. Doing so pursuant to criminal summoning, it is federal prison. Wearing this gun on his hip is a threat to my life while he's a psychopath. The entity is stalking me by helicopter last night, following me from the OVITT Family Community Library to what is the ARCO. And this is all audible activity. He's actually monitoring. This is at 537 North Euclid. This is all engineer light. He is going to prison.
All right, ma'am.
This is P.O.C.
Well,
this is an unlawful threat. And this is the desperation they engage in because they're engaging what is harassing with impossible light. And after I'm not responding, I don't wake up, I don't get up while they're engaging with a sexual assault and battery by the masses who are driving through the engineer light, which I've shown on video. Then they arrive pursuant to criminal summoning. This is a psychopath. When they're engaging in that and they're creating what is flashing light on my person. So I don't wake up, I go right back to sleep, and then they're engaging in this. This is light activity, relevant positioning, bearing a gun in my face, and exercising fictitious authority. M. Vallejo is going to federal prison. This is what Craig Hazelwood and Owens are doing at nightfall at 3 o'clock in the morning. Impossible light was under the vehicle. That's P.O.C. All right, I'm here. I'm not at 531 North Euclid Avenue. Even if I am in front of this building over here, it's also not a violation of the law. The people of the state are engaging in what is gang stalking with the Ontario police. This is the entity that they're relying on with regard to criminal summoning. Criminal summoning pursuant to the same specific environment. This is the entity that's engaging in what is taking your life under the exact same circumstances. I'm documenting with regard to understanding how they are gang stalking. They're driving on the street, and on my while I'm in my sleeping bag, it's creating flashing of light conduct, impossible light activity. These are the same demons where they're engaging with a stalking in this manner, creating what is impossible light, pacing all around me, monitoring, in furtherance of murder. While you're engaging in that criminal conduct in furtherance of murder, you are stating that you have committed, admitting that you're engaging in criminal summoning, which is a malicious means of stalking me conspicuously. Gang stalking police officers are doing so in furtherance of murder. It is the direct opposite. They're not engaged in policing, they're engaged in criminal surveillance, and this is committed in furtherance of what is harassing me, terrorizing me, threatening me, even through the malicious audible activity that I'm only here because somebody called and told me that you're at 531 North Euclid Avenue, which never happened. That didn't happen. He can say that somebody called and told him that I was dressed up as a clown and I was choking the squirrels outside and that they didn't like seeing that. He could say anything because it's all audible activity under the fake sun and engineer light. And it's a lie. This is the entity that's engaged in that, and this is what they're doing when they want my attention. They're harassing and molesting, and I went right back to sleep, not addressing, not acknowledging these demons who are obsessed with me and my vagina and want attention from me, creating impossible light activity on me. I go right back to sleep, and then the demons engage in criminal summoning. M. Vallejo is going to federal prison. This is no small thing. P.O.C. This is the pattern of conduct. You're looking at the entity that's demon-possessed. No difference from the ones wearing uniforms. The difference, the ones wearing uniforms, they pull out their guns and they pull out handcuffs and arrest you, which is a kidnapping, while they're stalking with the people of the state. Never is driving on the street going to create flashing of light on my sleeping bag, let alone through my thick sleeping bag, which is speaking to molestation with impossible light. Under a fake sun that's setting while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library at the same address after 4 p.m., which is also evidence showing that M. Vallejo is a lying psychopath, vagina monitoring stalker. Okay? He's going to federal prison. Just like that, you're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. That's the desperation, however. They catch those federal charges based on what is an obsession with me, based on hostility to what I publish. And that would inform you to stay away from me, but it doesn't. They're demons, and they engage in more of that. That light activity is impossible to affect me. They're not driving in sunlight. They're stalking in engineered light. They include omnitrans. That's P.O.C. It's currently 7:58 a.m. The serial stalker with her dogs, that's federal prison. She's going to federal prison. Walking her big dogs, and this is the entity that's engaging that together. Don't be distracted. They're doing so with the drug addicts, doing so while you're stalking me by helicopter with the demons that are engaged in serial stalking. You documented they engage in more of it. All of this evidence is being analyzed because they're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. All right, it is Sunday. It's January 25th, 2026, and the video you just listened to is the evidence of criminal surveillance within what is a criminal pattern of conduct of surveillance and furtherance of monitoring, which is criminal activity committed by the City of Ontario, which is the state of California, that's acting in concert with the documented and proven pattern of conduct by the people of the state. They share the same pattern of conduct, and they're sharing the same what is criminal presence. This is proving stalking as an entity together, as you're seeing how gang stalking is executed within a corrupt entity such as the City of Ontario that is maintaining a municipality that's practicing surveillance and furtherance of murder. So this is the prosecution that is serving to prosecute and remove an agency such as the Ontario Police, who have been compensated to engage in criminal surveillance. And not only has that already been established, the evidence is also revealing that they are still continuously engaging in and sharing in, meaning the Ontario Police are being disbanded not only for engaging in surveillance, but because the people of the state are engaging in surveillance in concert with them. The corrupt entity is accountable civilly and criminally for the conduct that is serving to threaten an American citizen, which the Ontario Police share in. Okay, they are the ones stalking me from place to place. They are the ones stalking me and harassing and terrorizing me as I document the people of the state stalking me from place to place. They are the ones incentivizing and facilitating what is domestic terrorism and psychological torture, sexual violence, sharing and mental illness, which is serving what is a malicious, proven pattern of conduct, while they are psychopathic and obsessed with stalking. This is the mental illness of the entity is a threat to an American citizen, and I'm also going to, that's actionable. I'm going to prosecute for that. So this is relevant to the video that you just listened to. This is a psychopath. This is a demon. This is a criminal that's engaging in what is conspicuous stalking. That is stalking in your face. Why are you stalking obviously, conspicuously? Because you are engaging in a pattern of conduct that you presuppose that an American citizen is never going to be able to prove in. Not only is that no longer the case, at this juncture, the entity is witnessing its own real-time prosecution on the internet and is still engaging in what is the unconstitutional and inhumane act of conspicuous stalking as a corrupt government, doing so in furtherance of murder, doing so having been proven to being compensated. That is, having a criminal motive to engage in criminal activity as a malicious actor. That is a police department, a malicious actor. They're doing so in the face of that targeted individual that is moreover documenting. That is an impermissible threat for which you are also subject to what is now enhanced time in prison. The domestic terrorists are shown to be those that are in leadership positions over terrorist organizations like the Ontario Police. This is where you are analyzing and prosecuting accordingly. Osama bin Laden is likened to what is a domestic terrorist leader, Mike Lorenz, Derek Williams before this demon, and is engaging in what is conspicuously stalking me, wearing a police uniform, bearing a weapon, and exercising fictitious authority, while also the substance is not only a lie, it is a demonstration of malice, because whether I'm at 531 North Euclid Avenue or I'm at 537 North Euclid Avenue, the fake sun is directly showing that there is no private public property distinction that is relevant. The entity is clearly gang stalking. The engineered light is glaring underneath a vehicle, never going to be there. They are driving in the engineered light. I'm documenting the demon-possessed people of the state stalking with light that flies in the air while they are stalking. The engineered light is molesting my person. This is occurring day day and night. And this demon is wearing this uniform in this vehicle with this badge and this weapon, speaking to what is absurd with regard to the guise of an excuse to be in my presence. That's both speaking to the obsession, it's speaking to the delusion, and it's also speaking to the unlawful threat posed by that obsession and combined delusion. No one is deceived by what they are looking at and witnessing, gang stalking, and also you are obsessed to an unlawful and threatening degree while you engage in that just to be in my presence, stalking me close up in my face with very highly unpersuasive and literally irrelevant. There's no private property. And who is it that is being summoned? The proven stalkers, the Ontario Police, the entire agency. And who is it that is summoned? Who is Vallejo referring to? The demons that are stalking with impossible light. Literally in the vehicle, in the video, I'm being molested with that which is never going to create any sort of touching of your person. The sun is not going to be over me at the bus stop at 537 Euclid Avenue. It's not going to still be the sun 4 hours later at 11 and 12 o'clock in the afternoon. This is how you know that Vallejo is lying and he is stalking, and he is an obsessed stalker who is also demon possessed. And this is serving to what is prosecuting his boss, a terrorist leader, Mike Lorenz. And before that, Derek Williams is still being prosecuted. I'm documenting terrorism and kidnapping, obstruction of justice that Derek Williams found entertaining and laughable. He's a psychopath gang stalking me, and it will not be forgotten, no matter that this entity stole the evidence. Derek Williams is laughing and smiling. He's a psychopath and a murderer and a sex offender while he is in Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard in December of 2019, and he is laughing about the fact that the entity is gang stalking, that I'm documenting it. He is enjoying the fact that I'm documenting. This is psychological torture that he enjoys. He's gratified by it. That's a psychopath. And he's engaging in what? Bearing weapons, bearing the uniform, engaging in that P.O.C. as a quote-unquote terrorist leader, not a police chief. And he is not removed from or exempt from being prosecuted while Mike Lorenz is sharing in that pattern of conduct. Retirement, and this is going for all terrorist leaders, you're not going from being prosecuted. I'm documenting from 2018 and 2026 ongoing. Every single last one of you. You're talking John McMahon to Stacey Shannon Dykes. You are not getting removed. You're not being removed. I'm prosecuting you for what is that ongoing pattern of conduct. In the same way that the people of the state are sharing in a sex offense, one vehicle after another, it is one terrorist leader after another, and you will be prosecuted. You are being prosecuted. You're not slipping away, you're not retiring out of, and you are not removing yourself from that ongoing pattern of conduct in the same way that I remain subject to it. You remain subject to what is a federal prosecution, and I hope that's clear. While Vallejo is under a fake sun, which is relevant to prosecuting terrorist leader both Derek Williams and Mike Lorenz for the pattern of conduct by that agency. Who is being prosecuted? Both while the people of the state are already shown to be light-slinging gargoyles with... Who is it that's calling you, sir? Oh, the demons that are stalking with light, even in that video. And I want to be clear, while I remain at the bus stop, the fake sun does as well. This is also these demons, as they are aware that they're being documented, engineer light behind their vehicles after they've already crossed my path, and I'm being accosted with impossible light. 9 David Charlie Thomas 437 shares in that pattern of conduct, engaging in surveillance with the Ontario Police Department, both conspicuously stalking me and also vicariously stalking me through this population who are maintaining sexual assault and battery because they're monitoring in concert with that sex offender that is going by the name of Ontario Police Department. He is going to federal prison, and he is simultaneously being diagnosed with regard to the level of malice by psychopaths who are engaging in criminal conduct in ways in which you're also not supposed to be aware of. And I'm pointing all of those illusions out, those illusions that are going to have the entity not only put in prison, but they're going into the areas where serious mental illness is a threat to the public, because this is no ordinary mental illness. This is mental illness that affects the American society, American public. The large, bulky, white woman that is engaging what is targeting me with the Ontario Police, she's doing so in the same impossible light activity while she's walking her dog. She's monitoring while she's doing so as I publish evidence of her, which she's keeping under surveillance, and she's engaging in that again with the same department. She's monitoring while she's walking in engineer light with her dog. She's monitoring while she's doing so with the drug addicts and the entities engaged in criminal summoning, including that same department. She is monitoring, and she's also doing so while she is deluded with the demons that are causing her to be very foolish with regard to her future. She's going to prison. And this is not an exaggeration. This is relevant to what is a population of demons that engage in the same conduct. As you document hundreds of people, those hundreds of people engage in ongoing acts of quote-unquote retaliation. The entity she's going to federal prison. She's in this video. I have her engaging what is terrorizing me and sexually violating me in furtherance of my murder, while she is that same population, and I am targeting her while she is close up, and I am able to document the fact that she is targeting me, proven through what is science, and also the gang conduct of gang stalking at this bus stop under the fake sun in engineered light with that same department, which is serving to put her in prison, and her criminal activity is serving to put the gang members of the Ontario Police and the people of the state in federal prison. This large, bulky, box-shaped white woman is gang stalking under the guise of what is walking her dog, which is psychopathic pacing and engineered light. She's doing so with M. Vallejo, and they're doing so with regard to what is also relevant. My evidence speaking to my documenting you gang stalking me before. You are not coincidentally engaging in what is gang stalking me again after you've been documenting. You are engaging in what is the federal offense of retaliation with the intent to obstruct justice, and she's going to prison for it. She is a maniacal psychopath who is continuously targeting with this agency, and she is lusting for murder. She's also going to federal prison because that motive and that ongoing desire and purpose is also not hidden in that specific environment where you are present, maliciously targeting somebody. And the videos where she is engaging in this pattern of conduct are literally lined up before the federal court to put her exactly where every other terrorist in the U.S. is going to, and that is prison. This is P.O.C. That's relevant to the video that you just listened to. She is sharing in that pattern of conduct, speaking to, in other words, proving that she's gang stalking because the fake sun hasn't gone anywhere. Okay, it is still present over me at the same street where the people of the state are gang stalking in the same way that these demons are M. Vallejo and his specifically chosen third party to target me, while cowards engage in what is psychological torture in unspoken manners, psychological torture through the environment, psychological torture through those actors, psychological torture through that light activity. Okay, that's relevant to the environment. So you have one engaging in psychological torture and demons that are not clever or sneaky at all. They're not wise or prudent either, because they're engaging in conduct with the federal prosecutor who is capturing everything regarding what they are physically doing with tangible evidence proving it, and also their mental illness that is also exhibited while they while they are engaging in it, and they are being both diagnosed and prosecuted. They're going to prison. They are not prudent or wise or sneaky at all. The entities engaging in the pattern of conduct with whom they engage in it for a very specific and criminal purpose. You're going to prison while you engage in retaliation. That includes the very heavily documented gang members of the Ontario Police. They're engaging in targeting with serial stalkers who are going to federal prison. It includes this large dog walker who is engaged in serial stalking, and it is serial stalking, not the protected private speech of walking your dog, because of the fake sun and the engineered light and the criminal activity of the people of the state, including third party 9 Henry Queen Apple 989, where under no circumstances the sun would still be over me from 7:50 until what is 9:13 a.m. It's also not going to be over me while I'm living at Alvarado Gardens and the fake sun is over me, where also LAPD is sharing in the pattern of conduct as being present in that supernatural environment amongst that engineered light under a non-moving fake sun. By definition, science is establishing that it is a fake sun. Okay, so it is a highly intelligent phrase. It is accurate to call it exactly what it is, because science is on the side of what is not a naturally occurring environment. Everything happening in that environment, including what the city of Ontario is doing around me while that fake sun remains over me, is proving that these two defendants, amongst the rest of them that I'm documenting, are subject to federal prison. It includes M. Vallejo and the defendant that's engaging in what is, again, the demons make them very unwise. The demons have them more obsessed than rational, and that's why she's going to federal prison. That's going to be utilized with regard to what is diagnosing mental illness. You're so obsessed with me, and they also know your obsession is also sexually violent. You're also keeping my vagina under surveillance, and that's exposed when you're gang stalking. They also know that about you. That's proven, okay? I don't have to sit here with my panties down to prove that this dog walker is a sex offender. You already know that by virtue of the fake sun and what they're doing in the bathroom at the OVITT Family Community Library. And what the dog walker is doing at 7:58, 7:59 in the morning under the fake sun, she is doing at sunset at that same OVITT Family Community Library. The non-movement of a fake sun and proving a sex offender as an entity, including M. Vallejo, who is referring to the sex offenders who are the people of the state as a basis for being at what is the incorrect address, where I am not violating
any law where the entity is gang stalking you. Period. Period. You're not, the entity remains the criminal. And that is, by the way, the consequences of a corrupt government that is literally forfeited what is any authority under the law. And it's a good thing that I'm not robbing banks, that I'm not out here raping and killing women, because the government, the Ontario police, don't have any authority under the law. And that is literally the legal reasoning behind gang stalking a corrupt entity that is engaging in the pattern of conduct. But it's worse than that. I'm actually a law-abiding citizen who is prosecuting a criminal that is the government. And that is speaking to what is an unprecedented basis of federal prison. Okay? But that's the reality. When the people of the state are engaging in criminal conduct, guess who doesn't have authority under the law? But they're engaging in that with regard to criminal conduct against an American citizen. These are the psychopaths that are engaging in what are malicious acts targeting another. And that sort of conduct is psychopathic. That's a serial killer. That's a rapist. That's the one that sits in court and bears false witness. That's the one that commits kidnapping and calls it a day of police work because nobody else knows any better. And that's what's going to prison under the name of what is MVAHO. Gang stalking with his co-defendant and literally the series of evidence showing that ongoing pattern of conduct with the intent to psychologically torture. Psychological torture is recognized and being prosecuted for where the entity is maliciously targeting you as an entity. It is psychologically harmful where you're doing so to the American citizen that doesn't have the evidence to prove it. Everything that the P.O.C. shows is relevant to evidence that the ordinary target individual does not have, and this is how they commit murders and kidnapping. What the evidence of the P.O.C. is showing and providing is also the evidence of psychological torture by the entity, because I am showing you and I am proving what the entity is doing absent evidence, which is psychologically harmful. Not able to prove the fake son, not able to prove impossible light, not able to prove stalking, contrary to what is the supposed to be the basis for reasonable suspicion by MVAHO. That's psychological torture while they're conspicuously stalking. And so is the dog walker. Psychological torture. You're not supposed to be able to prove that she's stalking and targeting you while her back is to you, while she's walking away with her dogs, which are supposed to be her focus. When you are ignorant about all that, that's psychological torture, and they're both going to prison. The P.O.C. provides that evidence of psychological torture by that corrupt entity. It's psychological torture when you're driving by and engineer light is appearing underneath the vehicle, but you don't have any evidence to prove that, and no one's ever heard of it before. And you even have to have a body of evidence to show that it's not an anomaly, it's not photoshopped, it's not AI, it's an ongoing pattern of conduct that is supernatural, that's relevant to psychological torture. I'm going to prosecute. And the entity that engages in psychological torture is the mentally ill psychopath. And they will be diagnosed. They are being diagnosed simultaneously. 7YPT731 P.O.C. That's a male with a cap on and a white BMW gang stalking at F Street in Euclid. 9BEK427 gang stalking yesterday under the fake sun as I am on this street, and I'm documenting those sharing in what is conspicuous surveillance with MVAHO in that entire department. That's engaging what is that P.O.C. He's doing so, by the way, he's in images. You'll see his face and his vehicle while he's pacing out of Starbucks, which is being heavily documented. I'm going to prosecute Starbucks for facilitation and kidnapping upon criminal surveillance. But it is 9:18 a.m. while that license plate starting with 9BEK. He's engaged in what is gang stalking. That's serial stalking that is provided by the government that keeps you under surveillance to a population. It is malice when the entity is referring to the people of the state that are gang stalking as the reason for being in your presence, conspicuously stalking you. Oh, we got a call about X, Y, and Z. You can get a call about actual criminal activity that I'm engaging in, and they will remain what is the criminal. The entities engage in that with regard to stalking in the sky space. This is already established where the Ontario Police Department are stalking. That's where the Ontario International Airport is stalking. It's established even today in images. The city of Ontario is stalking, maintaining aerial surveillance through the sky space, and doing so with the planes that are flying over, around, above me under the fake sun, where they're all engaging in what is molesting with impossible light. Stalking, you're stalking with impossible light when you're understanding the purpose of walking and driving and making noise in the environment, which includes a fake sun. It includes engineer light that's all over everything. All the engineer light is doing is cycling around all over everywhere, because it's engineer light in San Francisco when the fake sun is over me here at Bethel Congregation. You're surrounded in a demonic environment. They're stalking in that environment. They are stalking while you're being monitored. And everything that you're admitting to gang stalking me while you claim that you got a call about 531 North Euclid Avenue, where even if I were there, It is under no circumstances any basis of what is an exercise of authority under the law. It is an exercise of fictitious authority that is also incorrect. They're not even accurately or correctly operating in their alternate universe, because me being sitting at the bus stop and me being even standing on the sidewalk, which is where the people of the state are gang stalking. They're walking their dogs, they're walking by it, standing in front of 531 North Euclid Avenue it's a so what? It's a so what? Moreover, you're analyzing the entities engaging in what is gang stalking, stealing your money and property, targeting you in the workplace, engaging in this same exact pattern of conduct where they are threatening your life and safety and psychologically torturing you, and then you're sleeping outside, and you're also simultaneously keeping my evidence about you under surveillance, and then you're claiming that somebody called you. You're a psychopath and you're delusional, and the federal government knows exactly what is the substance of the matter, and comparing that, diagnosing you based on what is the truth of the matter. You're being diagnosed by your malicious lies. Just want to be clear, you're being diagnosed by your malicious lies, which are proven through the fake sun and engineer light, and the sex offenders who are the people of the state, the gargoyles themselves, sitting in the library sparking with light, driving on the roads and the highways molesting with light, walking by on the sidewalk stalking and molesting with light, stalking as a population. That's what's relevant to what you just listened to, okay? I want to break all that down. Engage in what is ongoing psychopathic stalking as a population, obsessed with me. And why? Because these are demons that are not practicing witchcraft. They're just demon possessed. They're not magicians. They're not elite. Neither are the celebrities that are incentivizing this pattern of conduct. I want to be clear. The politicians, this is a system. So you have people that have a lot of money that are serving for what is a system. They're not witchcraft doctors. They're not practitioners. They're demons. That's why their witchcraft doesn't work. That's why M. Viejo is going to federal prison, in other words. The way that you just heard me analyze that legally and logically, there's no witchcraft there. There's no magic. There's no illusion. No one is deceived, and no one that's witnessing this is deceived. There's no witchcraft. Witchcraft is nothing other than manipulation. Manipulation of your understanding, manipulation of what are the circumstances, manipulation of those that think that they are controlling something. You're not controlling anything. You're not controlling this prosecution either. You can't even control your mind. Who do you think you are thinking you're going to control this prosecution? You're the demon possessed. You are only demon possessed. You're not magicians. You did not get that message. I've been telling you that you're not witches and warlocks. You're demon possessed stalkers. You are future patients in mental wards. You are future inmates in prisons. That's what you are. You are so deranged and obsessed with me, who you cannot in other words, monitor and gain any sort of authority. You're not stealing, taking, borrowing, lending, casting anything. You're going to prison, and it's pathetic. Jason Isaac Fields is a delusional psychopath. He's going to federal prison. Unfortunately, this ignoramus went from sharing what is a class at San Bernardino Valley College to being raped by a gang of homosexual men and being indoctrinated with a bunch of lies from Satan, and he is a part of the same cult. He's going to federal prison for being a sex offender. He's going to federal prison for being a thief, a glorified thief. He's going to federal prison for being what is a closeted homosexual that abuses women, and that's by being conditioned. Okay, he's also been conditioned by his lifestyle, poor parenting history. So you're talking about that, but these are decisions. Okay, I was raised amongst demons. I did not grow up and make these decisions, so it's not an excuse that Jason Isaac Fields is a demon that has been indoctrinated and is a part of this same cult. He's going to prison for making very poor decisions. He is not a magician. Just because you're witchcraft, that's what you called it? No, just because other demons are subject to those low vibrational, that low-hanging fruit that you choose to chomp on, that doesn't make you magical. You're not magical. And magic, by the way, is not sexy. Magic is not powerful. You're talking about Satan, that is like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. These are people who are demon possessed. They are deceived. And now they're being humiliated and exposed by their own means of deception, by their delusion. They were never powerful. They're out here taking the lives by, and what is it? There's nothing powerful about being a bunch of people that are targeting somebody. That's very clear, a basic arithmetic. 17 people that are all lying, talking about they saw the target individual doing that, and the target individual wasn't doing that. It's not rocket science when you have the gang stalkers that are wearing police uniforms, and then they go amongst the gang stalkers in the courtroom, and that's how you get what is a quote unquote, you call that a conviction. It's not. You're not even going to use these terms with regard to the actual legitimate operation of the criminal justice system, of the court system. But for purposes of understanding what it is that gang members do, that's how they're abusing the system. That's not magic. You're a bunch of liars. You're bearing false witness, and that's how you're abusing the criminal justice system. That also is not magic. There are actual terms for these things. Terms that have actual definitions. They're a bunch of liars. They're liars about their own identity. That's why you're lying about being a homosexual. You're just a liar. If you're so magical, why don't you control what are your impulses regarding stalking with the possible light while I'm documenting you? That would be magic, but you can't because you're a demon. And I'm prosecuting you with your own impulses. I'm prosecuting you with your own deficiencies. I'm prosecuting you with your own mental instability. I'm weaponizing it against you because it's not just mental illness, it's criminal. It's a threat to the public, how unstable you are. This is an entity that's engaging in that, and guess who's going to prison? At the end of this podcast, I want you all to understand M. Viejo and the unnamed defendant who was heavily documented. She's going to prison, and so is the gang member of the Ontario Police Department. Everything that was stated in my presence on video under the fake sun and engineer light, he could have stood there saying, wah, 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 wah. He's going to prison. It's audible activity you're monitoring. Okay? He's going to federal prison. That's the understanding about what's going on today. And this is an entity that does so because they are deceived by Satan. Satan that is obsessed with me. And Satan is a spirit. Satan is using people whose future they've already sacrificed themselves. Their mindset is on an ongoing spiraling downward. And they're engaging in what is very self-destructive to their own demise. And they also are aware of the fact that they have sacrificed themselves. So that is also a threat to an American citizen when you feel as though and you live your life as though you're engaged in criminal activity in the midst of an ongoing federal investigation as though you have nothing to lose. That's a threat to an American citizen. Understand, everything that you're doing is being used against you. All of it is being analyzed in order to prosecute you because the government should never be engaging in this in the first place, and everything that the government is doing directly and vicariously shall be used against it. That includes the government that has no right under the law. It is absolutely unlawful. You are not free to engage in what is willy-nilly flights with commercial planes. You're doing it now, but you're not free to do that, and you're going to find out in federal court and in civil court. You're not free to engage in what is presence on the roads and the highways. Why? Because you're engaging in surveillance on the roads and the highways, and that changes the landscape of everything. They're doing it now, but they're going to find out in federal and civil court that they're not free to do that. You're not free to gang stalk inside of the venues where the people of the state live, or where you thought the federal government doesn't have jurisdiction or knowledge about the fact that you're gang stalking people where you live and work and as you travel. But the federal government does know that, and you're not free to engage in that either. The government is not free nor protected nor shielded from prosecution for surveillance and furtherance of murder, not even where the people of the state live and reside and as they travel and where they work. It's not clever, nor is it constitutional. It's also inhumane. And you will find they're doing it now, but they're going to find out in federal court and in civil court that they're not free to do that. This is the P.O.C. So I want to go through and document the entity that's engaging in what is sexual assault and battery following the video that you just listened to while they are keeping my evidence under surveillance. This is all serving to put those two defendants, the two main ones, the dog walker that's so obsessed with me, you want to have more FaceTime, gang stalking me, you're getting more time in prison. That's where your obsession is getting you. You're so fixated based on what is some non-existent competition. You're a demon. And you are fully out of your position, out of line, out of your league. Gang stalking me. The first time I documented you, I never should have saw your face again. But the entity's engaging in that while they're hostile. Somebody that's hostile and is engaging in what is, oh, you think you're going to do it again and again and again? As I document you, you're getting more and more and more time in federal prison. And is it worth it? You're going from dog walking to spending decades in federal prison. And I'm not playing because this is terrorism. This is no ordinary stalker. This is a co-conspirator of murder with the government. You're going to plot a murder. You're going to execute a murder, a calculated murder with the government. You're delusional and you're going to prison. That's the P.O.C. Those are the demons getting loud while you're listening to them speak to what is a hostility with regard to authority that I fully have. 9UDB757 is the Caucasian female engaging in that. That's audible activity under a fake sun that's idle over me. Where MVA was gang stalking at the brink of 8 a.m. and it's 9:29 a.m. and it has not moved. That's P.O.C. All right, so this is the pattern of conduct. So I'm going to go ahead and recite some license plates for you regarding what is prosecution of the video evidence under the fake sun and the fake sun remains. License 9 Nancy Yolanda Paul 480. License 8 Xavier David Robert 984. 9 Bob Larry Sam 763. And this is all criminal stalking, which you hear in the background as well. License 9 David Frank Nancy 826. 9 George Henry Uncle 986. 9 Sam Queen Kelly 902. 7 Robert Charlie Mary 398. 7 Henry Paul Edward 345. 9 Thomas Edward Victor 217. Mary Charlie Henry Larry 0 Kelly 0. That's a third party. And jerked out jerky is a commercial vehicle where that license plate is on that vehicle, and that third party business is also a third party that is gang stalking me. License plate 9 Thomas Yolanda Mary 955. License 5 Thomas Robert Edwards 600. License 8 Charlie Larry 231. 8 Jerry Larry Victor 671. 8 Robert Thomas Apple 350. 7 Charlie Mary Kelly 928. 9 George Thomas Apple 096. Robert Uncle 003. That's a handicap plate. 7 Bob Indiana Jerry 687. Charlie Mary 90 Sam 34. That's a paper plate. 9 Victor Nancy Robert 743, I believe. That's on the back of a Mustang, Ford Mustang. Omnitrans is gang stalking serially. All right, making money off of it. Omnitrans is going to be severely prosecuted civilly and criminally. They're also documented kidnappers. While I'm kidnapped by the the city of Ontario is committing kidnapping. The Ontario Police MVA is the same agency committing kidnappings. While they're conspicuously stalking, they're kidnapping while an ongoing investigation is underway. This is the entity that engages in kidnapping, and doing so because you're documenting them, you're going to prison for these very foolish documented acts. Nonetheless, while the entity is kidnapping, so is the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and so is the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. And the entities engage in what is criminal defamation while engaging in all of its criminal activity. And moreover, while I am being subject to the pattern of conduct on the roads and the highways, this is how you know what San Bernardino County Sheriff is doing. Stalking me with the fake sun over the vehicles where I am being kidnapped by the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department and being taken from one place to another. All right, being sex trafficked. When you're analyzing what the entity is doing, the sex crime of molestation is occurring aboard what is a vehicle that San Bernardino County has no authority under the law to have me. So while a kidnapping is underway, they are committing sex crimes against me while they are monitoring, and the entities engaging what is taking me from place to place for a population to share in what is sexually violating me, and they're doing so while Omnitrans is crossing paths, which is a matter of my documentation. Refer to the published kidnappings, and you will see me documenting Omnitrans that is engaging in that pattern of conduct, the same malice that Omnitrans is engaging in very foolishly. When I'm aboard those buses and they like to show you that engineer light is on there, that's how you know I'm not making it up. When I'm being kidnapped and Omnitrans is crossing path and I'm reciting what is occurring while I'm being kidnapped, and I'm documenting the same thing aboard Omnitrans, and it's all impossible light activity under what is a fake sun that would never be remaining in the window of a bus of any vehicle that is, when you're making turns and going from one destination to another. And also, I've documented these routes, every route of Omnitrans, the entirety of the route, no matter what time of the day, no matter what direction I'm going. That's how you know that someone is speaking the truth, and that you already know that I've established my credibility, but I can go back and remind you about what I said because I don't have to lie or make up anything. And the entity has also shown that I have full credibility with the ways in which they've lied on my character. That's also letting you know that I am no person that has to lie and make up anything. They're the ones that have lied on me, and that's why. Because of my character, because of who I am. Satan had to go out of his way to try to ruin that, and they did so unsuccessfully because of who I am and my character. It speaks for itself. The fact that Satan lied on my character speaks for itself. Omnitrans is engaged in what is sexual assault and battery. That's literally sex trafficking, while the entity is engaged in that. This entity has committed crimes that it has not fathomed, and I'm going to prosecute. I will be recovering for it. While they're engaged in what is gang stalking on the roads and the highways, they have not, and that you're not supposed to. Because you are the prey. When you thought that you were targeting me, you're the prey. And I'm going to dismember gang stalking and this entity. They're engaging in what is sex trafficking when you're breaking down the sex crime combined with the kidnapping, the unlawful taking of that person, while you're engaging in what is criminal monitoring. A criminal purpose is underway. It's also informing the just acknowledgement of what is sex trafficking, taking from one place to another, while a population and entity is sharing in that sex crime, which you already know is molestation, occurring aboard a vehicle, which is also proven to occur inside of buildings, inside of vehicles, while the entity is, in other words, targeting you. They're engaging in sex trafficking on the roads and the highways, interstate commerce, and you're making money off of sex trafficking. That's what Omnitrans is doing. This is what San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, those demons are paid kidnappers. And it's not separate. Ontario Police Department are being prosecuted the entire time that Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court and San Bernardino County are engaging in what is kidnapping. Ontario Police do not cease to be engaged in that criminal system, that criminal conduct. They are engaged in ongoing accumulation of charges. They will be disbanded, but they are engaged in ongoing. It doesn't change when the dog walker is not inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. She's monitoring my vagina all day long. She's starting the day with the sex offensive molestation. That pattern of conduct is ceaseless. Sunrise until sunset. That's the P.O.C. So I just want to break that part down for you. The entities engaged in that. Omnitrans is already established as engaging in that, and they are sharing in sexual assault and battery. All right, license plate. 2621632. License plate 7 Xavier, Indiana, Yolanda 347. And this is Hardick. That is at Ontario Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. He's in relevant position, not only sharing in criminal summoning. This is how but you're not a victim. Okay, so, but I do want to say this is how your affirmative engagement in the pattern of conduct is I just want to be inevitably affecting your co-defendants. Taking a nap at home in relevant position, you're being prosecuted at the same time. These are the realities of gang stalking. You don't have a defense, I want to be clear, because the entity with that same convenience is coming right outside of their home and turning on, just sitting in their car, sitting in their driveway with their headlights on, molesting you from across the street. But then you want to claim when the entity is engaged in criminal summoning and you live across the street, that you're taking a nap, that you were in the shower. I don't know anything about the target individual subject to being subject to criminal summoning and the entity kidnapping. I wasn't a part. I don't know anything about that. I don't know that police officer. I don't know the police. I didn't hear any helicopter. I don't know anything about any engineer light. You're going to be prosecuted sharing in criminal summoning. I just hope that you know that. The malice with which the entities engaged in gang violence doesn't take a pause, and it's not serving for when they want to admit they're participating and when they don't want to admit that they're participating. And they will never. You're dealing with Satan, and the defendant, and justice is not going to be relying upon a defendant obviously admitting their engagement in it. I've shown you the pattern of conduct. They are admitting by engaging in that P.O.C, which is above and beyond any coincidence. You will be prosecuted at all hours of the day. I don't care if your body is not in your home. It's a means of documenting you. Be prepared for those federal charges. This is the entity that's engaged in what is gang stalking was an entity. The government that thinks that it's so wise and prudent and thought that it had all bases covered, and you do. By gang stalking somebody everywhere at all times, be prepared for the malice of that to be flipped on its head, because everybody everywhere is subject to prosecution while they're sharing in gang violence. Hardick is not a victim, subject to relevant positioning. Prosecution for sharing in criminal surveillance, which is federal prison, by the way, sweetheart, that's federal prison. But the entities engaged in what is criminal summoning, and Hardick is a relevant position at 506 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun is, by the way, over me at that Chevron at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All right, this is letting you know that Viejo is a psychopath and is conspicuously stalking out of desperation, very mentally ill. You're actually obsessed with me, and everything that you're talking about is a lie. This is somebody that wants to stalk me in my face and have a gun, threaten me without saying anything. I'm reading all of your cues. I'm analyzing all of your conduct, expressly and impliedly, and you are being prosecuted for all of it. It's not a secret, nor is it within anybody's imagination. Nobody's hallucinating. Neither is the federal government. This federal investigation is not a product of hallucinations or exaggerations or fabrications. And like I stated, you are no victim. You are gang stalking. That's why the fake sun's over me while I'm walking by Hardick and anybody else who I've documented all those employees. Okay, so, but I just want to be clear the reality. Even if it was a nice old biddy and I never documented and personally had her harass me per se, you're harassing me, by the way, when you're gang stalking. But let's just say conspicuously harassing, meaning you're accusing me of stealing and I'm being molested with impossible light while I'm just trying to buy some coconut water inside of the gas station, and you're cussing at me and targeting me, and the people of the state are walking in, hitting me and cussing me out. That's conspicuously harassing upon gang stalking. You're harassing without saying a word. The engineer light, the fake sun, you're being prosecuted. These are demons that they have no idea because they're delusional. But the entities engaging in this, and say it's some old biddy that's never conspicuously harassed me, okay? Now, I have so much evidence, and I'm so much of a professional, I don't even have to go around, like the sheriff. I am the sheriff. I do want to be clear. This is not being pompous. This is not bragging. This is the reality. The government is a criminal. I am the authority figure, and this is a threat. This is not a good thing that an American citizen has to undertake this. But I am the authority figure. And spiritually speaking, I am the authority figure as well. But we're talking about what is a matter of what is a court system and criminal justice and what is prosecuting in civil court. And this is, I want to be clear, a chessboard that is set. Okay, this is a dominoes for what taking everybody out. Everybody. Okay, and this is the entity that is, I want to be clear, there is nothing, there is no defense. They are totally walking around indecently exposed, okay, because they are surrounded and they're still stalking. That is more evidence that you are engaging in the conduct. I didn't even need it. I already have you engaging in it, and then once you're proven, everybody's just looking at you still stalking, and everybody's watching. Everybody's just watching, and they know what you're doing. And they know that I have undertaken what is supposedly the impossible, proven gang stalking. It will never, ever be mistaken for some conspiracy theory. All right, so the entity is engaging in this, and you're no victim in relevant position, even if I hadn't already been subject to conspicuous targeting at Chevron, which is relevant for identifying what is a third-party company sharing in what is surveillance and furtherance of what is criminal summoning. A threat to kidnap is what criminal summoning serves. To harass you and threaten you is what criminal summoning serves. To more effectively molest you and monitor you with a demon that wants to refer to things that have that are supposed to be remotely relevant to the execution of the duties of an officer. No demon is engaging in the execution of the duties of an officer. Nobody's ever going to mistake that again. Satan's engaged in what is criminal surveillance. Satan's not engaged in law enforcement. Okay, so I shredded that veil, removed that illusion. Nonetheless, you're analyzing the one in relevant position. And Hardick is not a victim. He's engaged in targeting. He is monitoring, even though he's in the gas station, and you might be smiling from ear to ear. You might try to be friendly, even though there's no such thing. I am a professional. I'm advocating on behalf of another that can't defend themselves. So because I'm able to withstand the P.O.C. doesn't mean an American citizen has a right to be violated with regard to this inhumane and unconstitutional system. There's a difference. Understand what it is that I'm doing. Under the law, whether we're cheesing and coking and joking and going back and forth because I can handle it, that doesn't mean that you're not engaging in a federal offense. This is an entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and you are in relevant position sharing a criminal summoning. This is how the system works. This isn't about me wanting to pick on you, and no, you're actually picking on me, and I'm analyzing while the entity is picking on me. And it's a federal system of terrorism while the government is picking on you. The government is picking on you through everyone around you. This is unfathomable targeting. And the government's only doing that to get away with murdering you. And the government puts on a police uniform and thinks that it's disguising itself as law enforcement while doing so. The government is full of delusional psychopaths who are demon-possessed. And the gang members of the Ontario Police are going to prison for it. And they're putting their own demonic leader, Mike Lorenz, in prison for me. They keep serving my purposes. They're stalking me by helicopter with minor children, the same little demonic bastards that are targeting me under the age of majority on video, gang stalking. Those little bastards come around. I want to be clear. Their parents, they're subject to federal prison. The entities engaging in that with regard to what is obsessing over me. Those little bastards are coming around targeting. And guess who's targeting with them? The Ontario Police. Okay, I have so much evidence. I don't have to stop and drop and do everything that I'm doing to put that on X and put that on my podcast. Ontario Police are stalking last night with the same documented minors. Documented minors that are not exempt from federal prosecution. The minor children of these demons that are gang stalking with impossible light. They're sending their demon-possessed terrorists to come target me at the OVITT Family Community Library. And what am I documenting in images last night? The Ontario police are following, that is, from the OVITT Family Community Library, stalking in the path, not coincidentally as I'm publishing license plates onto X, but pursuant to criminal surveillance, which is occurring on the internet. You are stalking in the path. In relevant, gang stalking conspicuously to communicate a threat. You're threatening me by helicopter as I'm going to continue to put up the license plates of violent sex offenders who will be subject to what is being exposed, published amongst what is the Department of Justice registry. The entities engaging in that pursuant to surveillance. That's the same department that's in my face under a fake sun this morning. Specifically identifying himself for purposes of prison. Even if you try to do so, which is an illusion, you're not doing so anonymously in a helicopter. You're literally going to produce your identity. You're going to prison. There's no anonymity here. There are no secrets. Just like there's no secrets, there's no privacy regarding my vagina, you have no secrets regarding gang stalking me. You're going to produce it, and you're going to prison. All right, so the entity's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and you're doing so with everyone in relevant position, including that license plate of that Chevron employee and Chevron and ARCO and Starbucks and the entity at Bethel Congregation. You can hear them with regard to facilitation 7WAY374 is more effectively monitoring, while those bells are a means of audible activity over that fake church where the fake sun is remaining after 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is already on the record, where MVAHO is engaging in what is demonic activity and doing so while wearing a police uniform. Those are the co-conspirators of murder that are conspicuously stalking through the abuse of what are supposed to be law enforcement agencies. Okay? All right, so license plate 7XIY347 is Hardick, and he is engaged in what is that ongoing pattern of conduct to criminal summoning and sexual assault and battery. Also, so is Chevron. So is every business. So are the entire entity. These are demons that are, again, engaged in what is nothing other than witnessing the downfall of calling yourself attacking a child of God. You were never magical, and now your own demise is going to be public information while you are still obsessing with regard to that delusion. They're engaged in what is assaulting and battering me with impossible light. It's not sunlight at 7 in the morning, and at 9:47 in the morning, it's also not sunlight. They were committing sexual assault and battery by the masses. As I'm reading their license plates, while they're driving by, flashing of light. It's like having a flashlight and turning it on and off. That's what they're doing. That's what's coexisting with regard to light activity creation while these demons are committing sexual assault and battery. And like I recited in that video, because MVAHO's going to prison, and I want to make sure that you understand the significance of what his purpose is and what he's doing in that environment where that's never naturally occurring. That's speaking to the context regarding what you are actually doing at wearing that police uniform. But nonetheless, it's also relevant to what's happening hours later, where the fake sun is relevant, and this is psychopathic pacing in engineered light, which is never going to create flashing of light affect on your person when you are merely driving what's supposed to be under the fake sun or under the sun. Let's just say under the sun, if it's not the fake sun, under the sun. If we're under the sun, why are you creating what is laser-like light activity on me while you're driving south on the street? That's impossible light activity. It's also impossible light activity while it's occurring underneath this demon MVAHO's vehicle. And if you'll pay attention in that video, that impossible light activity gradually disappears where it never would have appeared in the first place. But you already know this, while this same population that he is referring to as calling him is the one that are driving through light that's flying through the air and vacillating across the wall behind me, where you can see in this video this morning, my shadow is appearing at a distance behind me at a downward trajectory. Impossible light under all circumstances. Speaking to surveillance, not policing. And while they engage in that, that's how the demon-possessed seek to engage in what is surveilling you conspicuously while you're not able to prove that you're being harassed and targeted, because they're talking about things that you don't know the law, you don't know what are the limits of authority that they have, and so they're ordinarily targeting, intimidating, harassing, and defaming American citizens that are not equipped to deal with what is targeting by the demon-possessed that are wearing police uniforms. And that's what I'm here for. That's what the P.O.C. serves. Okay, the entity is engaging in what is a series of kidnappings while they've been frustrated because they're failed efforts. Because I know the law and you're mad, and so you engage in what is battering me and kidnapping, you're going to prison. All the more reasons why psychopaths have no business in law enforcement. Psychopaths are demon-possessed. They murder people, okay? They pull out their guns when they're frustrated and they don't like what you're saying. They just pull out their guns. They turn on their sirens and run you down in the middle of the street when they don't like what it is that you've done or said or made them feel embarrassed. That's what they do. I am documenting and prosecuting this psychopathic entity. And it is not practicing law enforcement. It's engaged in what is picking on, and they picked on the wrong person. They're going to prison. And moreover, this is not witchcraft. And by the way, I am absolutely better than every single last one of these demons who are obsessed with me. That's why they're obsessed with me, because they are inferior. You are better than the one to whom you are superior to. And this is not based on some man-made hierarchy. It's based on the reality. It's based on the spiritual law. It's based on what is authority that is God-given. It's based on what is the position that you've been relegated to in the spiritual realm. That's why you're monitoring spirits. Just as an aside. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. It is currently 9:50 a.m. Capturing images of what is also serving to put the dog walker in prison and put the gang member in the police uniform in federal prison. License 9UZE419, sexual assault and battery. 9DJV082, sexual assault and battery. 7HDD465, sexual assault and battery. And it's the same thing at nightfall when they're across the street at the Iglesia Apostolica Prophetica. While they're stalking in front of that venue with headlights, which is never going to touch me, it's the same spotlight conduct with the fake sun. Sexual assault and battery. Doing so at 602 North Euclid Avenue, the so-called lockout studios, they're going to be locked in federal prison cells with regard to the serial sexual violence pursuant to monitoring and furtherance of murder that the people of the state are sharing in and doing more of it while they are angry demons who are not engaged in any witchcraft, finding out that they're not magical at all, that they're just demon possessed. That's it. And your demon possession has caused you to be at the whim of Satan. Satan that is using you to embarrass yourself because he has your soul under lock and key. You're in bondage. You are prisoners in the spirit, and you're going to be prisoners in facilities. All right, it's 9:51 a.m. It is Sunday, January 25th. Yes, 2026, and this is P.O.C.
Alrighty, this is putting M. Viejo in federal prison and the dog walker under the fake sun. That's at 7 in the morning, and the Ontario police are stalking just like the Ontario International Airport. She's going to prison, okay? And at 7 in the morning, she's walking in NC, still here present. That's engineer light that's supposedly reflecting off of the glass. She's on video walking right here, and engineer light is streaming where the people of the state are engaged in psychopathic pacing. That's what you're recognizing, mentally ill behavior, not traffic. It's surveillance, not traffic under a fake sun that's still here. You're talking about what is 8 in the morning. It's 9:53 a.m. where the Ontario International Airport is indeed stalking. That is putting M. Viejo in federal prison. The malice with which he's engaged in conspicuously targeting an American citizen in furtherance of murdering that person and for profit, in concert with the people of the state who engage in surveillance with that same agency inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, everywhere that I travel, on foot, on bicycles, as you can see, and in vehicles, in planes. That's what the people of the state are. American Airlines, Delta Airlines, Amazon Prime Air, UPS, FedEx. You have the entity that's gang stalking through the airlines, as I'm showing, United Airlines and Southwest Airlines. That's the people of the state, and they will be civilly and criminally prosecuted for conspiring by murder. These are terrorists in the U.S., as the United States uses what are commercial means. That is a capitalistic endeavor upon terrorizing American citizens, and I'm going to prosecute them for that. This ongoing targeting in the environment is serving to prosecute the entity, the Ontario Police Department, and the people of the state. They're going to prison. And at 4 p.m., never is the sun going to be, contrary to what I'm documenting, still in alignment to me, where that airport is targeting, where that fake sun is still in alignment to me, on the opposite side of the same apartment, downtown Ontario luxury apartments where the fake sun is setting. Those are the demons that are not engaged in any sort of witchcraft. They've never been magical. They're demon possessed. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:54 a.m. The entity has the fake sun over me through the windows of the Ontario Airport Inn, facing the 10 freeway. Okay, not only is that, first of all, way down yonder, it is also east on G Street. It is not going to be over the bus stop. It's not going to be creating my shadow on the ground. All right, and never is driving on the street causing any light activity on the wall. This is all manner of what is impossible light activity. A fake sun is engineer light, not, okay? This is all criminal activity. This is P.O.C. It's currently 12:02 p.m. The beeping you're hearing is the maintenance of audible activity. So the entity that is monitoring will give any explanation. Oh, the alarm is broken. We need to get it serviced. The battery is low. We have to replace the battery. It's audible activity pursuant to ongoing maintenance of activity, and the fake sun is over me to make sure that that is clearly proven through what is a specific environment. Remember, it's not the sun. It's a fake sun. So that gives what is purpose regarding any method of audible activity. That is a fake church that's engaged in monitoring, and it is in relevant position to what is a bathroom where surveillance is underway, where sex offenders are not discriminating based on the type of venue. Venues speaking to surveillance by a government that is gang stalking and furtherance of murder and engaging in things such as vagina monitoring. That is exactly what's underway. And I want to detail the sex offenders of an entire airport that's being shut down. Every airline is a sex offender, and the Ontario International Airport is engaging what is vagina monitoring. And specific, when I say vagina monitoring, I put it in those explicit terms because that's the graphic and explicit sexually perverted conduct that the entity is focused on and keeping under surveillance. And that's why they engage in what is activity creation pursuant to what's going on concerning my vagina. That is, at the moment, not when I come into the bathroom, not when I close the bathroom door, not when I grab some toilet paper, but the moment that I reach for my pants to pull my panties down, that's when the plane activity, which is evidence of targeting by the airport, because no planes from Terminal 2 or 4 are going to be heard over here. The sex offenders of Bethel Congregation monitoring my vagina, 9 TRW 122. They are inside of the fake church of the Bethel Congregation, where I showed you the fake sun at the entrance. The aged female with the blonde hair, it's not really blonde, it's peroxide. She's clearly putting peroxide in her hair at her advanced stage. And she's engaging the P.O.C. You'll see the fake sun hovering. This is the same entity that's doing so, and it is, by the way, 12:05 p.m. I'm approaching here 2 hours ago. Okay, so this is the entity, 10 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock, and they're crossing path right now while they're sharing in surveillance by an airport. That is indeed focusing on my vagina, and so are these two sex offenders who have a minor child in their custody, by the way, while they are engaged in vagina monitoring. That is literally sexually violent conduct while you are at simultaneously living a life of a corrupt entity, a corrupt society that are engaging what is masquerading as parents, moms and dads, those that are not sex offenders distinct from those that are sex offenders because they have a criminal record, because the government's convicted them, because they're on Megan's list. Yeah, these are the sex offenders that are engaging in what is stalking under a fake sun at a fake church and monitoring my vagina. And the ongoing beeping is for the gang stalking purposes of a whole population that surrounds license 8JY215. Vagina monitoring. Bethel Congregation is at 536 North Euclid Avenue, where M. Vallejo is gang stalking me at 8 in the morning. Don't forget about that. Where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. He's going to federal prison based on this evidence as well. License 8AJY215 MUSIQDR 7ZQU979. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down for the unprecedented and inhumane sex acts that it is committing while trying to cover as an airport. That's not an airport. It's engaged in terrorism and furtherance of murdering American citizens. And that's the sound of plane activity that I want to document on my podcast that's heard inside of a bathroom. And the ongoing confirmation that I'm not making that up is not only the P.O.C., but let's just imagine I don't have the P.O.C. already proven. You know what's going on. Everybody knows, everyone that's witnessing what I'm publishing. Everybody already knows that I've proven everything that's happening. Let's just entertain it's not there. That evidence is not there. Because you know the pattern of conduct, you see the engineer light on the inside of that doorway, inside of a building that's impossible light. You know that one part of the P.O.C. is not there because the rest are missing. One part is there because all parts are there. And the entity is amplifying noise. You also know the pattern of conduct is stalking through planes and helicopters. So any person that is speaking to, well, then I heard plane activity, and then you're talking about documenting where it's happening, and the feds can analyze what it is that they're seeing, and they know exactly what it is that an American citizen would be struggling to describe. The entity is stalking by planes, which is also already fully covered here with regard to the Ontario International Airport. That's a violent sex offender, is engaging with a surveillance of my vagina, and that's also why it's being shut down. 9GVK182, 8GQY524, and they're all inside of a church service, and they're all actually focused on me. Okay, not only do they not know Christ, they're not even actually there genuinely acting like they care about anything having to do with Christ or his word. They're focusing on what I'm doing outside of the building, and they know that I'm documenting. They are the demons that are sitting inside of the building of 536 North Euclid Avenue. That's just the reality of this. And their focal point being me and not acting like fake Christians are supposed to and expected to act is because the fake sun is here moving as I move. That's how you know what everybody's actually paying attention to. 7EJU 276. That's just the reality. 8TTGO92. When I go to a play, when I go to a Broadway, when I go to an opera under a fake sun, you know, even the opera singers, even a demon holding a concert, you know what the focus is? It's not the person on the stage. It's me, the targeted individual. They're demons. These are demons that are just engaging in the pattern of conduct, monitoring, and ongoing extraordinary, expensive, extravagant ways. But it is the same vagina monitoring demon. 9VNL163, do not be impressed by Satan. He's pathetic. 9EYW849. 7HVN734, vagina monitors, all of them. 8SLY220, 9UUZ706. All right, I think it speaks volumes in and of itself that the entity spends millions of dollars monitoring my vagina. And it's so psychotic that I have to maintain a body of evidence of an entity keeping my vagina under surveillance. And I have been under surveillance. My genitalia, my body has been under surveillance. I've been monitored by the government since I was a child. So the government is a violent sex offender. A violent sex offender. And so is Tracy Banks. So are sex offenders like Jason Fields. They just engaged in what is criminal activity in order for me to prosecute them. Justice. But they've engaged in much of which is not even included within the P.O.C. The entity is getting what it deserves for reasons that you do not know, but God knows. But they're receiving what is justice, judgment. Because God knows everything that they've been committing against other people who are already dead, by the way. This is P.O.C. This is the bathroom monitoring by the Ontario International Airport inside of the Bethel congregation, where a bunch of sex offenders are looking and listening to this pre-written speech by this fake pastor under the fake sun. Pastor Lee is his name. These are sex offenders as I'm sitting inside of a fake church today. This is P.O.C. It's 12:10 p.m. VIH681. That's a federal offense what this third party with that license plate is engaging in, and that third party is doing so as an entity, not an individual. And they're doing so pursuant to a pattern of conduct. It's 12:38 p.m. 67080C4. And this fool is coming out to engage in that same pattern of conduct. She's voluntary. This is the impunity. And this is called psychopathic pacing. 8ZNA431 4RNBOC9, because they're acting together. And that's the entity that's doing so with the Ontario Police Department, as you'll recall, during the 8 a.m. hour. Let me show you where I'm at. I'm at the same location where that demon with that uniform, just like the demon this morning in Vallejo with the uniform, speaking to criminal summoning. They engage in criminal summoning with animals, criminal summoning by any means with regard to what is the purpose. Stalking, that is presence. Presence regarding what is a violation of federal law, domestic terrorism. We're gang stalkers who are engaging in what is trying to hide that through being confused with masquerading as law enforcement, are engaging in what are domestic terrorism. Okay, domestic terrorism with they're domestic terrorists, and they're engaging in that ongoing torture and that ongoing stalking and harassment and terrorism, which is relevant when you are looking at the totality of facts. Now, when you have the evidence and aware of the system, then you can look at it in one picture and identify the P.O.C. But the entities engaged in the pattern of conduct regarding which is identifying the crime scene. The crime scene is where the fake sun's over the same position like it is as I'm documenting, coming from the same bus stop where M. Vallejo was gang stalking me this morning, and I'm walking in the same path that I am on another morning, and the demon is gang stalking with the Ontario, it's beside the Ontario Veterinary Hospital with a dog. Again, that the dog is a prop. It's activity creation, by the way. But the dog is a prop with regard to, oh, this is why I'm here. Just like this morning, oh, this is why I'm here. And the entity's doing so under a fake sun. In Vallejo, federal prison, the fake sun is across the street from the same location. That's prison he's stalking. The gang stalker that's engaged in criminal summoning with the people of the state. All they're doing is stalking together. And guess what? They're going to prison. These fools are going to prison. They engage in that criminal system together. All right, and they're doing so while you are very clearly able, and a federal court will look at the 2 videos together, 3 with what M. Viejo was in today. And I will use the demons of the Ontario police against each other. I will show the world, and I will prosecute in federal court regarding the demons that they are stalking me under a fake sun that's remaining over me in a matter that is not only insurmountable as a body of evidence, but is also that which is exceeding insurmountable evidence, okay, that you cannot contend with, and under no circumstances can Satan speak to what science is showing. 27990U1 is not possibly under the natural environment where I'm at the same exact location, showing you a psychopath with a dog stalking me. I'm the focal point. Nobody's imagining that. There are psychos who are in a specific environment, and they presuppose that you're not going to examine that same crime scene hours later, where you will witness what is the demon possession of an agency that is engaged in a conspiracy to murder. And the airport is putting the Ontario Police Department demons in prison. The people of the state are putting the demons of the Ontario Police Department in prison. The entity that's engaging what is stalking me in all manner, businesses such as FedEx, that's FedEx stalking in the path. The entity is engaging what is stalking, flying right over that's the city of Ontario, putting the demons of the Ontario Police Department in prison, and that's where terrorists belong. Mike LORENZ is not going to remain outside of federal prison, being proven engaged in a pattern of conduct with the people of the state. 7VHL 779, having no fear. This doesn't speak to ignorance, it's speaking to impunity. They know exactly who I am, and they know exactly what's being documented, and they engage in it with what is impunity. P.O.C. 9BSD 645. It's also impunity while the government's not coincidentally engaging what is following me around in small planes and commercial airline planes. That's Starbucks. There's no sun behind L. Edwards at 7:15 in the morning when I'm at the same street, daylight savings time or not. That's the P.O.C. It's 12:42 p.m. These demons are going to prison, and so is M. Viejo. The demons that are continuously stalking in the path, like FedEx, Amazon Prime is crossing path in this video. All right, the entity, again, the same Chevron employee, he's engaged in criminal summoning, just like at 8 o'clock in the morning, the fake sun's still over the same Chevron. I'm on the same street. It is relevant positioning. You will be prosecuted. This is a criminal act committed by an entity. ARCO is surrounded with evidence for me to civilly and criminally prosecute. And that's exactly what's going to happen, because businesses like ARCO are engaged in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murdering American citizens. And it's a federal RICO case because ARCO's making money while doing so. ARCO is not innocently engaging in that, nor ignorantly, in other words, because ARCO's employees are gang stalking demons as well. That's beyond, and ARCO's customers most legally significant. That's a federal RICO case, okay? This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:43 p.m. at the same intersection where the entity is engaging in what is criminal summoning, using an animal as a prop with regard to gang stalking me. And doing so while the entity is engaging in what is harassment, because I'm documenting the people of the state. And the people of the state that engage in that, these fools are going to prison. That's all. That's the prize. You want to play stupid games in a federal prosecution that is not a game, you're going to win what is a stupid prize. And that's time in prison. License 4Z21331, that's P.O.C. This fake sign is then going to follow in the same manner that I document at 8, 9, 10 in the morning to the OVITT Family Community Library. M. Viejo's going to prison. His co-defendant walking her dogs, the big bulky white lady that likes to engage in more criminal activity while she's documenting, she's going to federal prison. The demon gang stalker with the prop, the dog, engaging criminal summoning outside of the veterinary hospital where they can do that without the gang stalking police department. They can call the Humane Society themselves, but the entity wants to include the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police. You can say whatever. You can give birth to a baby under the fake sun. You're going to prison. It's surveillance. The fact that it's not the natural environment is what supersedes what demons would like for you to be ignorant about, like light shooting off of their car, and you're supposed to believe that it's not a pattern of conduct. They're delusional, and they're going to be both convicted and committed. This is P.O.C. It is 12:44 p.m. Where have you seen that before? You've actually seen it at Stater Brothers, flying next to, underneath, through the fake sun. Stater Brothers is actually west of this address as well. And this is where the same defendants are present after 4 p.m. also at this same address, sharing in what is surveillance. Surveillance is accomplished by mere presence. And this is light that's reaching underneath the surface. They are surrounded in the evidence, and they're mentally ill. They also sit inside stalking with light by sparking. Okay, sparking. That's why I call them Sparky. The demons that are engaging with is stalking with light. That's light activity while your shadow appears in front of you under a fake sun that's here at 9 o'clock in the morning, where Jay Sandoval at 8:38 a.m. What do you think he's standing under? This is the P.O.C. And the Ontario International Airport is a so-called backup of a demon that's being documented for conspiring my murder. Southwest Airlines and him are going to be federally prosecuted. And this is at the very heavily documented venue of zombies who study their devices while they gang stalk you. They also do that while they're monitoring your vagina in the bathroom. This is the entity that's engaging that the predators are no more predatory because they're males. They're not men, that's the only difference. They're just males who are engaging gang violence, and they are equally predatory. They are closeted homosexuals keeping vagina under surveillance, equally in violation of the law. Okay, this is P.O.C. Southwest Airlines is serving to put the Ontario Police Department in prison, and so they are with the people of the state as well. Remember, he's engaging what is molestation, sexual assault and battery with impossible light while walking out of these same doors at 4 p.m. Southwest Airlines calls themselves gang stalking, harassing, threatening, like the entity does with helicopter, while I document the people of the state. The gang members are going to prison. This is the dismemberment of the mentally ill. This is P.O.C. The very damning evidence of having a fake son over a venue, speaking to surveillance by the people of the state, the gang members themselves that conspire murder. They're not moms and dads. They're not parents. They're sociopaths and psychopaths. They're violent sex offenders. They're also very delusional. And they are also going to be prosecuted in federal court for terrorism. This is P.O.C. They're going to prison for kidnapping in 2022. They're going to prison. That's where all of this evidence is going. They're going to prison. P.O.C. That's Taylor at the front door. Southwest Airlines has a flight scheduled for departure from the Ontario International Airport at 6:40 p.m. It is currently 6:42 p.m. and approximately 90 seconds earlier, the entity is stalking with the plane at 6:40 p.m. exactly. I'm capturing screenshots of what the Ontario International Airport is sharing. None of what the Ontario International Airport is publishing on the website regarding the Ontario International Airport flights arrivals and departures are going to include hovering. That's not a takeoff. They're not elevating an elevation at all. They are doing so while they're hovering over a senior citizen complex. They're doing so in the engineered environment. Here's my shadow here. Here, right? And here's another one here. They're up right in front of me, and there's only one person, but I've got multiple shadows. That's where the people of the state are stalking. I'm showing you the ongoing license plates of the sex offenders that are engaging in what is criminal monitoring. The molestation, the sexual violence with the light conduct is mentally ill behavior where you're under surveillance by the airport. Aerial surveillance, targeting in an environment where no arrivals or takeoffs from the airport outside of what the airport is also publishing is going to be included. And you're also looking at the environment, the light activity, where the sex offense by the people of the state is a part of that light activity, where they're sharing in surveillance and furtherance of murder. This is already a case that's conclusive regarding what the state of California, the city of Ontario, the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Police Department, the people, the demons of the city of Ontario are engaging in, and they're still gang stalking in the face of that proven case. This is relevant to what are a lot of people who are going to federal prison as a matter of justice because of the facts that are proven beyond a reasonable doubt and to a scientific degree. Not only is the fake son speaking to what is targeting, okay, don't forget Mr. M. Vallejo. He's under the fake sun that's at the same block where the people of the state are stalking with light. He's doing so under the fake sun at 8 in the morning, and this is where it was setting, where Southwest Airlines is gang stalking after 4 p.m. under that fake sun. Don't forget that. He's going to prison. This is P.O.C. This is ongoing psychopathic pacing, and there's no other flights after 6:40 p.m. And where are they stalking? Over a senior citizen complex in this specific environment where the fake moon's over my head. This is the entity that's engaged in that conduct, and this is also failed witchcraft. The entity that is gang stalking is being simultaneously diagnosed for commitments while they are also being criminally convicted. All right, this is the entity that's engaged in conduct that they believe is witchcraft, spiritually effective, and it's not. It's mentally deranged conduct, and it's also criminal. It's putting M. Vallejo in prison. He's going to federal prison. Right here at what is the opposite side of the apartment building, he's engaged in criminal summoning on video under a fake sun that's set right here. It's set right here through the doors of the OVITT Family Community Library, where this airport's maintaining psychopathic pacing, serial flight, having nothing to do with Terminal 2 and Terminal 4. Where the airports are engaged in what are takeoffs is not any mystery. It will be part and key in prosecuting and shutting down that airport that is engaged in what is conspiring my murder with the government. And the government includes the people of the state who are are not private citizens. Sarah's Regis Group is being prosecuted. They're engaging in surveillance with the OVITT Family Community Library. Even the people inside cleaning are the people of the state gang stalking in the path on the inside of that building, knowing exactly who I am and where I'm at. This is my shadow appearing on a sign in front of me. This is the environment where the entity is indeed stalking by an airport that is a threat to national security. I have all their license plates, and this is documentation speaking to what they're engaging in, and they will be prosecuted. They are the people of the state. They're violent sex offenders, they're vagina monitors, they're stalking in the path with light, and they know what I'm stating. And you know that because the entity is stalking in this manner. This is P.O.C. and Vallejo's going to prison. That's what that's showing. He's going to federal prison. He engaged in criminal summoning this morning, stalking, lying about getting a call from who? The demon-possessed people of the state, in Vallejo, and the one walking her dog. The big, butch-built, masculine white female that's walking her dog is going to prison as well. And the entity is showing that it is actively an ongoing enemy of this U.S. of the United States, while the Ontario police is engaging in criminal surveillance on video, because that's how you are analyzing that conduct of an enemy of the state while the fake moon moves. As I move, it was over there. This is very much specific to me. And this is also where the fake sun is setting. The mental illness is shared by the people of the state who are engaged in psychopathic conduct, such as deranged behavior, such as stalking with light. And it's pursuant to what is that environment where you are being monitored in that engineered environment. And gang stalking police officers, that oxymoron, that un-American, unpatriotic oxymoron is going to be dealt with federal prison and mental examinations. And that is the unlawful threat that in Vallejo poses, gang stalking me this morning under a fake sun that did not exceed this block right here, C Street, and where he is gang stalking me wearing a police uniform and a gun on his waist, stalking where that airport is also stalking, as I captured on video. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 6:47 p.m. And these are flights over the Ontario City Hall. Paul Leon's being removed from office. The gang-stalking senior citizens are equally engaged in domestic terrorism. They're an enemy to the threat, not because of their liver spots and their age. The threat is waged based on your criminal engagement as a population, psychopaths that are engaged in sexual assault and battery. And I've been documenting them for years, conspiring my murder, stealing my money and property, stealing my identity. Tracy Banks and Jason Fields are going to prison. They share this mental illness and this malicious pattern of conduct. And this is an entity engaging in surveillance together. And I prosecuted them single-handedly by myself. In Jesus' name, this is P.O.C.